with your wife, I admire, and again, when we get married, those are,
All right.
yeah, that's the focus. But, with everything going on with your wife, you've been so dedicated and just, you're with her, and it's kind of an amazing story.
That's what you're supposed to do.
I know.
I mean, it's just odd now. We live in an era now. We're just doing what you're supposed to do.
Right.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you're supposed to do.
We grew up in that era, though. It's like it's in front of us.
It's not really. It's.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. It's not like it's hard work or anything.
Yeah.
It's great. You have to find the humor in it. My wife is very much involved in women's issues.
Mm-hmm.
She even got a Nobel Peace Prize nomination, and she works with women in Afghanistan and human rights. Okay. So when the dementia started to come in, it's like, okay. So like when we watch TV, I tend to watch episodic shows. If we watch something that's like 5 or 6 parts, she gets a little confused. And I don't remember the first. Did we watch the first part? Oh yeah. So we're watching Hawaii Five-0 from the 60s.
Oh yeah.
With McGarrett. And of course, McGarrett, every time he talks to him, sweetie, honey, come here. Sweetie, did you see the guy run by here? Okay, thank you, honey. So anyway, Stanley Holloway plays a scientist who is a genetic engineer, and he gets kidnapped by the Red Chinese. Okay, so McGarrett goes to see his daughter, who's like 38 years old, and he says to her, "What kind of genetic engineering did your father do?" And she says, "Well, I'm just a woman. I don't really understand these things." And I hear my wife, she's just getting madder. She's swearing at the TV. And I go, "Oh, good, the fire is still there, So it just makes me laugh. She's just yelling, I go, "No, honey. See, she didn't understand because she's a woman." Shut up. I mean, it's just, and you realize it's just so funny when we watch these old shows, just how sexist it is. Yeah. Sweetie, honey, come here. Every female on the show, it's just very funny.
Those moments where that fire comes out in her. I mean,
that's what I mean. That's what you sort of live for those moments, and they're it's okay, Yeah. I enjoy her company, and okay, so. There's President Obama. I remember we had dinner with him. No, I didn't. That wasn't me. Yeah, honey, it was you. No, yes, it was. Okay. So, I mean, yeah. So you try to smile and have a good time with it. And that's what it is.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome, though. I mean, it just sounds like you guys still have a lot of fun together, right?
Well, I took her to Nordstrom's when she's still walking around a little bit. Yeah, because she's feeling that. Come, let's get some. I don't want to get close. Come on. So let's go in the shoe department. She goes, "Oh, look at those blue sneakers, electric blue. Wow, those are great. You like those?" I said, "How much are these? $24. Honey, you want these? Get them here." I said, "Honey, get another pair if you want." "I can." "Yeah, got it." So she sees these red and white ones on the table, She goes, "I'll take these." I said, "Honey, put those on. Put your shoes in the box and you wear those home." "Oh, thanks. That'll be great." Okay, she puts them on. So I got 2 pairs of shoes. I got my credit card at $24.95. Okay, that is $788. I go, no, I bought 1 pair. He goes, "Yeah, those are the regular. The ones you were designed by or who's Ha? He's some guy with a bedazzler, because it looked like the same set of same pair of sneakers, just had some little rhinestones or something on them. And now I'm stuck, and it just made me laugh. I mean, I'm glad I can afford to do that.
Sure.
Because I look at her and she says, "I like these shoes." I go, "Oh, good, honey, great, okay." I never even said it. It just made me laugh, and you have to sort of. That's the humor in it. I realize I sound like, I can. I mean, I'm glad I can afford to do it. It was money well spent.
Well, I mean, it's just the optimism of the whole thing, right? It's just like you were in a place that you were able to do it, and you're happy, and it made her happy.
That's what I mean. It made her happy, and that makes it all worthwhile.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You look around the world, and we have a lot of young people that don't really understand things as far as certain steps to take to be successful, the back end grind, and I feel like in the audience, there's always a 20-something, whether it's a male or female, that's always looking for some type of advice, right? What would you tell a 20-something right now that is looking to come up and start any type of career?
Well, I'm the old Dale Carnegie stuff still works. Look them in the eye, shake hands, make eye contact, write letters as opposed to emails if you can. It shows you can write, which a lot of people can't. I mean, I remember this kid told me, I want to get into show business. And I said, well, who do you like? And he mentioned Steven Spielberg. I said, well, why don't you write him a letter? No, I'm not going to do that. I said, write a letter. Don't write it on crayon in a paper bag like a psycho. Write the right form. Look, if you don't know how to write a letter, look it up. They show you, your return address in the corner, the whole thing. And he got a job as an assistant working on Steven Spielberg.
Wow.
Because his letter was so well written. I thought, because I find most people try to find people who, when they talk to young people, they see themselves in that person. I meet people, I'm a young comedian. I want to say, oh, great. I feel excited because he's exactly where I was, And I was always thrilled at any help that anybody gave me. So I try to do that. And it's very rewarding when years later they come and go, you got me in the door or whatever it might be, But that's what I would say. Write a letter to someone you admire and why you admire them. And 9 times out of you probably won't get a response. But there's always going to be somebody who goes, gee, look at this kid. Well, I'll give you the best example. I met a kid from my hometown, Italian kid, funny. Okay. And he came to see me a couple of times. And I got to talking with him. I said, what are you doing? He said, well, I want to go to UMass, but it's expensive. I said, oh, okay. So I'm going to go to community college and then transfer a couple of years. So I went home, I thought about it, and I said, well, let me spring for this. Let me I can afford it. So I called his mother to make sure I'm not some creepy old guy hitting on his son. I said, listen, I met your son. I said, I'm going to pay for his college education. And I'm single mom. No, not a single mom. I'm not single. And so she's thrilled. Okay. So I do that. The first year goes by. At the end of the first year, I call him up, see how he's doing. He said, Mr. Leno, thank you so much and everything. He said, I really appreciate what you did, and I worked really hard, and I got a scholarship for the next 3 years, so I don't need your money anymore. And it actually made me cry.
Oh, my God.
Because here's a young person, he could have had a free ride for the next 3 years. And I wouldn't have felt any, fine. But he felt somebody did something for him. He went, he really applied himself, got a scholarship for the next 3 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Saved me about $80,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, it was like, oh, okay, that's pretty good. And that just makes you feel good. And it does make you feel as good as doing the best show you ever did in your life or whatever this might be. Just go, okay, at least you contributed something to the world. You put I don't have any children, so you put a good human being out there and gave them a start,
I think when you tell that story, I'm thinking of just integrity, right? The integrity of that young man at that point.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And that's just a gen whatever.
Yeah.
It always makes me laugh when people, because when I was a kid, kids today were just awful, And now we move on, and I hear the people who were in my generation burning down the Bank of America complaining about, hey, guys, don't you remember you threw the firebomb into the Bank of America? So every generation thinks the last generations are idiots or stupid or something. And you realize that's just the way of the world. It's just that built-in conceit you have. I had somebody say something to me, it made me laugh, a younger person, and we're talking. And I said, back in the 90s, whatever it was, he goes, well, in the 90s, people were really stupid. I go, really?
Interesting. Tell me more.
What was so stupid? The rockets, the spacecraft, the science, the medicine, really. But I just like the fact that people in the 90s were stupid. Because there is that conceit that comes with whatever generation you're in. I remember when I was a kid going to the Space Museum and seeing Alan Shepard's. He was the first guy to go into space from America. The capsule. And it was a little thing. I thought, well, that's pretty cool. I'd go on that. Because I saw it at that was the best technology we had at the time I saw it. I went to Smithsonian a couple of years ago. I wouldn't it's like a garbage can with a lid on it and a window. I said, I wouldn't get in that thing.
Gutsy.
Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? When you live in that era where, well, this is as good as you could be, when you look at, what's that guy, Shackelford, the guy that went into Antarctica, well, he had all the best equipment you could get at the time. What could possibly go wrong? So it just makes me laugh.
It is kind of funny, just thinking about that. And you talk about the conceit of the generation that you
Right.
grow up in. Cause I mean, I'm 46. Like
Right.
I always say to my kid, when I was your age, you know, this is what we did.
Right.
You know, we come home, drop our backpacks. All right, mom. All right, dad, you got homework? Nope. Really did.
Yeah.
We go play football in the street. We go to school and play kickball. We'd ride our bikes. We come home when the lights, you know, the street lights come on. We eat our dinner and then we'd play video games. Right. But,
Right. Right.
like my kids looking at me and like, well then, you know, why was that so great? Like, why can't we go outside and just roam around? I'm like,
Right.
oh, no. You can't do that now.
Right.
You can't do that now because it's, you know, the neighbor drives 50 miles an hour down our street.
Yeah.
And it's just dangerous. But to your point, like every generation thinks their generation was the best because that is our experience.